Welcome to the Neurokin Network channel. I am Marina. Very happy that you're here. Today's video is going to be slightly longer and it's going to really reflect on and unpack to some degree the whole concept of just get a job. And let's start. So what is the problem with that when people say to you, just get a job? You've got a degree, just get a job. You've got a degree now, you can get your job. The thing is that isn't necessarily always the best route to go down. And the reason I say that is because just get a job is really reflecting a short-term solution. It's not looking at the bigger picture. And sometimes we do need a short-term solution, 100%. What I'm saying is, let's be intentional about it. It's really important to know what you're getting into and then how to get out of it, because the short-term solution is meant to be short-term. And then once it's finished its purpose, move on to something else. I'll give you a little bit of an example from my experience of just getting a job. So I have two things to tell you about. The first one was when I finished my first degree in 2008, and I was a mature student. So I finished my degree maybe 35 or something like that, 35 years old, and I couldn't find a job for a long time. And I got so desperate that I did all kinds of temping jobs, one of which was scanning insurance documents. And I cannot tell you how unbelievably boring and depressing that was. Awful. I'd loved my degree. I'd had a wonderful time. It was a big turning point in my life, and to not be able to use my degree in a job was very upsetting and depressing. So I managed to get out of that eventually, and into a job that I did want to do, which was working at Mind, supporting people with mental health conditions in the community, and I loved that. And then after my second degree, which followed on from the first degree, I did a master's in social work, a 2-year full-time master's in social work, which was quite strenuous, I can tell you, on many levels. And halfway through that degree, in the summer holidays, I had an awareness that I actually didn't want to be a social worker. And I didn't really know what to do about it. But after a lot of soul searching, I decided that I was going to complete this degree, this master's in social work. And I did. However, it was extremely hard work because I wasn't intrinsically motivated. The thing is that I just didn't see how working in children's services was actually beneficial to me. I didn't really want to do that, but I didn't see any other options. In the social work program I was in, no other options were really offered as to what a person could do with their degree. And this is another reason why graduates can get into just get a job. Say, for example, I've worked with students who had an English literature degree, and they weren't quite sure what kind of job they could do with their English literature degree. And so they ended up doing something that was degree adjacent or completely divergent from their degree. And talking of that, I did complete my master's and I passed it, yay. And I was quite surprised because I didn't actually start writing my dissertation until 2 weeks before it was due in. Eek! But I got through and I got my master's, which was an amazing achievement considering. I went on a completely neurodivergent path, divergent path into energy healing, which which is quite different from social work. And it was beautiful for me. Like, it was really required, and it was amazing, and I love energy. I'm all into the woo. And it was a really good balance to the intensity, the intellectual aspects of the Masters. 2017 came along, and I was invited to come and do some part-time summer work in a university supporting students with mental health challenges. And I went along and I absolutely loved it, and thus decided to make it my full-time career, which I then got into. And as it turned out, for me to be able to do that job, specialist mentor at university supporting students with their mental health and neurodivergence, I needed a social work degree. So it's funny how things work out. And I want to bring this back to you. Wherever you are right now in your university journey, whether you've completed it, you're just starting, or you're thinking about it, it's really helpful to consider what you actually want from this degree. What you want. Do you want to, and you might not know this until you get to the end of your degree, and even then you might not know, and that's okay. Like, we can't know everything, much as we'd like to. So it's about looking at, in my view, taking a pause when you've completed your degree, or as you're coming up to the end of your degree. But in working with many students over the last nearly 8 years, it's an intense time coming to the end of your degree and trying to think about what comes next, and also think about the amount of assignments that have to be due in, and the fact that it's coming to the end of your identity as a student. There's quite a lot to process. So what I can really suggest to you, if you're in that place, is to take a pause. And I know that this feels counterintuitive. I get it. I get there's a lot of pressure, which is even more important to take a pause, because when we're acting from pressure, we can get ourselves into things just to release that pressure. And getting into things to release the pressure doesn't always necessarily work out to our best advantage. So I'm all for people taking a break after their degree, doing something different. Hello, I did that. And also to be aware of the bigger picture, for it to be an intentional choice. I definitely did not make an intentional choice. I definitely just chose something else. And that worked out for me. But there have been other times I've taken jobs simply because I needed the money. And real talk, that is so true. Like, that's true. That happens. That's real life. And also, I then also got stuck in that because, autism. And also being human. All humans find change like scary, confrontational, challenging on different levels. As an autistic person, I found it very overwhelming to change from something known to something unknown. And I needed to do a lot of work on myself to be able to make those choices and transitions, which is why it's so important to me that neurodivergent graduates are supported to make transitions now, like when they need it. And actually, whatever now is for you, whether you've graduated, 10 years ago, like I almost did. Well, it's a bit longer than that, but it doesn't really matter where you are at all. What matters is if you're going through a transition, that you have the support you need to go through that transition. And that can be practical support, it can be emotional support, it can be strategic support, it can be all of the above. And that's what I love to offer neurodivergent graduates. You're so important to me. Your well-being is so important to me. Your representation in the world is so important to me. We're all in this together, aren't we? And so, yeah, it's important to me that we know that there's support out there. Neuroaffirming support is out there, and stick with this channel if this is of interest to you, because I'm going to be sharing a lot more as time goes on. In the meantime, bye for now. Take good care of yourselves.